Happy Valentine's Day! In this video, I'm going to illustrate how to make a chocolate heart. The beauty of this is that you can try this without the calories or the sugar. I've now got a new document set up and I'm going to apply a radial gradient. Now first I need to select a rectangle so I can have something to actually put that gradient on, because even though I have a new document, you notice over here that I have no layers, so I don't really have anything to work with. So I'm going to select the rectangle tool, and then I'm going to put my rectangle on my new document, and then I will have a place to put my gradient. So to do that, I'm going to select the gradient tool and make sure that it is set on elliptical. So it's going to look like that. Now I don't want it to be gray. What I want is for it to be kind of a reddish color. So in order to change that, I'm going to go up here and go into color and then look for some swatches to get me a reddish color. Okay, and I don't like that either, so I want to flip that. So it needs to be reversed, and we will just reverse that like that. Okay, so over here I don't want a gray in the middle, but what I want is a lighter reddish color. So I'm going to, I don't know, maybe select this. And I didn't do this before, but I think I'm going to take a shot at this one. And then just experiment around a little bit. Go down to my sliders. Not swatches, my sliders. So we want HSL sliders, and I may want to lighten that up a little bit. So let's see how we can get a little bit more of a red on the outside. Click there, see what that looks like. The last time I did this at the end, I really hated it, so I changed the whole thing. So we're going to leave that like that right now, and then select it and make sure that the white part of our background is not showing. And so now we're good to go. Okay, now I need to draw a heart because that's what our candy is going to be made out of. I'm going to do a candy heart, so I'll select the heart tool and then draw my heart right there, and then move it to where it's centered. I'm going to select snapping so it will give me a midpoint. There we go. And then I'm going to unselect snapping because if I leave it on, it's going to drive me batty because it always chases you around. Now the color of this, well, I want to get rid of that. So the color of this is going to be a shade of brown. And after looking around and experimenting, I found a shade of brown that I want. So what I did is when I found my shade of brown, I copied down the hex number. This hex number is what is there right now. I don't want this. I want another hex number, and that number, so what you'll do to find the hex number, where to type it in, is you're going to make sure that you click on the color tab, and then down here you've got the rectangle, and all you'll have to do is to type in the hex number, which is going to be 2B1016, and then press enter, and that should give you the color you want. If you don't like that, or you think it's just too much, you can always adjust it. I had a little bit on the purplish side because to me it looked a little bit more real if I did that. So I'll go ahead and leave it like that. Well, maybe I want it a little bit darker. Okay, so it's going to be kind of a dark chocolate color. That's really what I'm going for. So from this, you're going to get a dark chocolate, purplish, brownish type color. And this dark chocolate look is really what I'm going for. Now with this selected, I need to add some effects. So I'm going to click on FX for effects, and then I'm going to first do bevel emboss, and I'm going to have my bevel type to inner. Okay, so we've got inner, and then we need our radius numbers. So I'm going to put the radius at about 60. When you put these effects in, it's going to start looking more like candy. So 60-ish, something like that, that's fine. So I'm going to, radius is 60, and then the depth, which you'll notice is linked to this, so you're going to have to unclick this to release it. And I'm going to select my depth to around 50, and that's going to give me about the look that I'm going for. Now, one thing I want to do is to give it a profile. So this profile will carve out the edges in different ways. So here's the profile, and I'm going to click on the profile window, and that opens up these profiles. So you can have a different profile. You can have this one, which you notice makes the heart look like that. You can have this one, which makes the heart look like that, and so on. So you can just go through them and see which one you like the best, and then pick the one you actually like the best. For me, I've been going with this one because it gives it that carved out look that some of these candies have. And so that's the one I'm going to go with and stick to that. And then what you're going to need to do is to fiddle around with this direction dot until you get the kind of shading that you're actually going for. I never remember what I do each time I do this, but I think it's going to look, well, maybe I'll put a little bit up there. Okay, so that's fine. I think I'll keep it like that. All right, now, before we get out of here, I need an inner shadow. So I'm going to add an inner shadow on this. And the blend mode is going to be overlay. So we're going to do overlay. And then we'll need to adjust the radius and the offset and all that stuff. So the opacity is going to be 100%. The radius is going to be 20. So we're going to turn that bad boy up to 20. And the offset is also going to be 20. But the color I want is going to be white. So you're going to have to click on this box right here, and then you can either click the color over there. What I usually do is I go to a swatch to make sure I get a white, and then I'll just click on the white. And we want our shadow to be light like that. So our inner shadow is going to be a white color. Okay, so we need to click out of that because we need to adjust this angle of shadowing to 90 degrees. I had to fiddle around with this for a while to see which one I like better, and the 90-degree one actually worked well for me. Okay, so now we can close. And now we have our heart. But we're not done because I want to put some icing on this. And to do that, I'm going to have to make a duplicate of this heart. So I'll just go Control J. And now I have my heart duplicate right there, and it's selected. So you want your duplicate to be selected. And I need to get rid of the effects on my duplicate. So all you have to do is click on FX, take the checks off, and then your heart, once again, has no effects on it, and that's why it looks flat. Now this one needs to have a color on it. So I'm going to give it a pink color, and the hex number is right here because In order to get that hex, make sure that in this drop down right here you've got RGB hex, and that's going to give you this rectangle. Otherwise you're not going to have anything. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to give it a pink color of DD4 F and 82, and then I am going to press enter. So now we've got our pink color on our overlay, and that's going to be the icing color. In order to get the icing on the top of this heart, we need to go to the rectangular marquee tool to select it. Notice that there is no rectangular marquee tool over here. That's because that it is in the Pixel Studio. So you're going to need to select the Pixel Studio, and like magic, our rectangular marquee tool is right there, and we can click on it, and then we can select the top of our heart where we want the icing to be. Now I want to give this a mask because that's really what you're working with. So once you have that selected, I'm going to select a mask layer, and there's our mask layer, and notice that it's been cut out. So here is our icing, and here is the mask layer. And to get rid of our marching ants, we're going to need to go up to Pixel Selection, and deselect, and that will get rid of the marching ants. And then now you've got your heart with the pink icing on it that doesn't look quite right. And the reason that it doesn't look right is it looks like we just kind of colored it on there. So we need to select our heart, our pink heart right there, and then we're going to go up to Pixel. Well, actually we're going to select the mask because that's what we're working with. So we need to select the mask and then go up to Pixel and Filters and down to Distort and then Twirl. And now we will have, then this appears. So now it looks more like an icing type of a thing. And if you don't like the way that is, you can change the angle on it and see how the angle changes if you want some weird icing. Or if you don't want it to be that bent, you don't have to be that bent. What I was going for is to get rid of, so this didn't look too sharp, but I think I've changed my mind, and I'm going to go back up here and make it a little less obvious, so I can just have this kind of rolling thing over here. So once you get that done, you can just select apply. So here's your radius. You can fiddle with that, select the angle and fiddle with that, and then select apply, and now we have our icing. Now for this to look really more like icing, we've got to put some effects on it. I mean, this looks, still it doesn't look quite right, so we're going to have to put some effects on it. So I'm going to again open my layer effects and select bevel and emboss, and instantly that looks really strange. So I want to, for the layer effect, the type is going to be inner, and it's already selected there, so that's fine. And the radius and the depth is not going to be this much, and that's why it looks like it's stamped on there. We need to really turn that down to maybe around 13 or 14, and turn this down to 13 or 14. And it still doesn't look quite right. We need to soften that up so it looks more like icing. So to do that, you're going to take this and move this up, maybe all the way to, let me see, oh, that's a little bit much. Don't want it to be too much, but we want it to have that dripped on effect. So I'll put this around 13. Let's see what it looks like if it's more, like 16. Well, I don't know. I'll move it back to around 14. And so once you do that, you soften the edges so that it looks more like that you've got some icing, frosting dripping down. Now I want to apply an inner shadow, so I will apply an inner shadow, select the inner shadow, and my blend mode is going to be overlay, which it already is, and I need a radius and offset to be around 18, so we're close to where it should be. And now when I say 18, I mean an approximation. I mean, you can have your own offset if you want. It really doesn't matter. If you don't like that, you can always change it. It really doesn't matter. So we want our color for this inner shadow to be white, and it is. And now we want to check our angle, and the angle is going to be 90 degrees. So I think this is from what I was doing the last time on the last thing. So once we have that, we can close that. The last thing I'm going to do is I want to put some sprinkles on this. And to do that, I'm going to use the paintbrush. So we already are in our Pixel Studio, so our paintbrushes are already showing up. So all we have to do, oh, and by the way, remember, if you've got tools that aren't showing up, you either don't have them in your list, you need to go in and drop them into your list, or you're in the wrong studio. So if you're not used to the fact that now you've got everything all together in Affinity 3 and you're still used to Photo and Designer, that's the way you can tell. If it's not over there, I bet you it's in the other studio. So click on the paintbrush tool, and once you click on the paintbrush tool, and I bet you this is the one I used because I can already tell. So we're going to go over here to brushes, and it's still self-selected. The brush I'm going to use is called 2500 Sand Dust 16. Now you can change the size of this by either clicking on the brackets to make this bigger or smaller. The reason this looks like a bullseye is because I've clicked on the left bracket key to make this as small as I possibly could, because what I want to do is first thing we need to do is this needs to be white because our icing is going to be white. So this is going to have to be white. Okay, so now we have that. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to see it. So now we can paint over and get our little sprinkles like that. And so I'll just put my sprinkles all over my pink frosting. So now I've got my pink frosting on there. So this is called Sand Dust 16, and I got this from these brushes from a website called brusheasy.com. And the brushes are called sand. So if you like these and you want to use them, search for sand. And it's a lot easier to import these brushes in 3 than it ever was in Photo. Because right when you open up the brushes from the website, it automatically imports them. I mean, I don't know if it just knows what to do, but I found that it's done that, and that's what it did for my brushes. Okay, so now I have my sprinkles. And let me take a look at it and make sure that I think I like this color better than what I was using before. Before I had it really dark red and then just a lighter red in the middle, but I think I like this red with the pink set on, so I'm not going to change that. You can always change it at the end if you don't like it. You go back to layers and you can just click on it, and then you can just change your gradient, because you will just go up to the gradient, go there and go up to the gradient, and then just change it. Okay, so that's it. Here's my candy heart for Valentine's Day, and it doesn't have any calories and no sugar. Give this a try and press that subscribe button. This helps the YouTube algorithm get my videos out there. Check out my Buy Me a Coffee page to stay up to date on my latest blog posts.